Hello there, kia ora. It's kind of depressing that next election voters might be forced to once again choose between asset sales and not selling assets. After Christopher Luxon floated it this week on Mike, every other bit of media is biased but not me, Hoskins' show. It's a tried and tested line for mostly national parties that are tanking the economy, a quick sugar hit that has some serious long-term detrimental impacts. And we know that because that's what's happened in the past. And we know it's never been particularly popular as a plan, but it's never really been a plan that would ensure the loss of an election. Asset sales hit in three very specific ways. While there may be a short term cash injection, as a country we end up losing crown revenue, which is used to offset taxes. We end up transferring wealth to foreign investors, and we end up with a deterioration of critical infrastructure. Take the electricity gentailers, for example. In the 2010s, John Key's National Party sold off 49% of power generation companies. In 2022, the CTU worked out that the loss of dividends from the government books between 2014 and 2021 was around $3.7 billion, or $459 million a year. It's about the same as this government spent on this year's budget on boosting primary health and urgent after-hour medical care. In 1992, Jim Bolger's national government fully privatised the Bank of New Zealand, selling it to NAB, the National Australia Bank. In the past decade alone, the bank has recorded around $10 billion in profits. $1 billion a year is 60% of the budget put aside for this government's cornerstone investment boost tax incentive that they announced in the budget this year. And when Bolger also sold off New Zealand Rail to Transrail in 1993, the company had a core focus on aggressive cost-cutting measures, which led to reduced spending on track maintenance and renewal, which led to physical deterioration of the core rail network, which in turn led to track failures, speed restrictions, safety hazards, and poor service availability. It cut passenger routes and branch lines because they weren't profitable, which limited rail's ability to meet the needs of alternative transport options, forcing a reliance on cars that we're still seeing today. But in 2004, the government was forced to buy back the core rail track infrastructure for $1, which sounds good till you find out that they also had to pay for land, assets, and income streams from subleases and property for $50 million. It had to cover capital expenditure costs from Toll, who had the company at the time, of $15 million, and a commitment to spend $200 million on non-recoverable capital upgrading networks and replacing infrastructure. And then in 2008, the government had to do the same again for full rail and ferry business for $665 million. So all up, we, the taxpayer, have paid almost $1 billion early 2000s dollars to get back and rebuild a core element of our infrastructure, or more than the government is taking off beneficiaries with their re-indexing benefits to inflation rather than wage growth over the last 4 years. It should also be pointed out that National weren't the only ones to sell off assets. Longy's Labour government did it too with Telecom, which resulted in profits going offshore, infrastructure degrading, and actually ended up forcing John Key's government to deregulate the industry and fund ultra-fast fibre rollouts. It doesn't matter which government does it, asset sales simply cause problems long-term for governments looking for a quick fix. But we also know that they're not popular. In 2013, a citizens-initiated referendum occurred, which came back with a 2-to-1 opposition to asset sales, which the Prime Minister of the time, John Key, said right from the outset he was going to ignore because, in his own words, 3 in 4 New Zealanders said we don't agree with the Labour and Greens at the general election. While there hasn't been much nationwide data recently beyond one taxpayer union courier poll, there has been a bit of local level stuff with the recent local body elections, and the same patterns keep emerging. People don't want to see assets sold. So when it comes to assets, next year voters will have a choice. Both ACT and National have said that they want to put asset sales back on the table. Both Labour and the Greens have said that they're off the table, and Labour has made protecting some assets as part of the future wealth fund proposal almost impossible to sell, needing a supermajority to do so in their election policy. Voters are going to need to decide if they want a government that's after a short-term sugar hit that you pay for later, and we will end up paying for it, or a long-term investment that keeps helping offset the bills long-term. Hey, thanks for sticking around till the end of the video. While you're here, why not hit that like button or share the video or even subscribe to the channel. You could even become a paid YouTube member so you can see things released in advance, you get access to some exclusive content, and like all these awesome people, you get to have your name at the end of the credits as well.